Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FV087 podcast. I'm your host, Sunny Burns.
And I'm your co-host, Sunmarie Burns.
So we are on episode 87. 13 away from 100. Going 2+ years strong on this podcast. And if you have listened to every single episode, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your listenership. It's been quite a journey. Hope you've gotten a lot from it. Today we are talking about being a whole person millionaire. And I first heard that phrase from Brandon Turner on the Bigger Pockets podcast. And I guess, he was talking about, there being millionaires and, but talking about kind of approaching it from maybe like talking about success. Because when you think of a millionaire, you think of success, right? We were actually just looking for fun at the Forbes 400, richest people in America or richest people in the world, right? I think they all happen to be in America, but number one is $180 billion, Jeff Bezos. $110 billion, Bill Gates, number 2. Then you got Mark Zuckerberg, number 3. Warren Buffett, number 4. And then number 5, I don't even know who that is, Larry Ellison. And it goes on and on. Apparently, all 400 make up $280 trillion or something.
I think it's the richest people in America.
Oh, it is richest people in America?
Pretty sure.
Richest people in America. Okay,
yes.
Stand corrected. So they're not all Americans.
They are.
Well, these are all Americans, but
yes.
I'm saying the richest people in the world.
In the world, there may be more. Yes.
We should find this out.
List.
Okay, quick break. And we're back. So I was pretty much correct. All 5 of those names are on this list, but there's a number 3 that is outside of America. So he's the only one. Bernard Arnault, chair of the CEO of some luxury goods business. But okay, he's worth $150 billion. But other than that, they're all Americans. So that's settled. Anyway, so whole person millionaire. So, there's a lot of... So it's easy to kind of say you're a millionaire and like, oh, they're so successful, they must be a great person. But I feel like so many times there's people who are just like out of balance in life. Maybe they are striving for those dollars. They're striving for that millionaire status, but, at the sacrifice of everything else. We recently took a course called Life Book, and it looks at like 12 aspects of life. Sure, finances is one of them, but it talks about other things like health and fitness. So many people who are, I see so many people in my office who are, sure, they're making a good amount of money, but, they're overweight. And
or they have reckless lifestyle habits, drinking,
right.
drugs, other things that they can afford and they are reckless with because their life is relatively empty.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing after only one particular facet of their life.
Right, and there's so many facets. Like I was saying, Life Book, they talk about financial, health and fitness, intellectual, emotional, character, spiritual, love relationship, parenting, social relationship, friendships, career, quality of life, and their last category is life vision. So just, I guess, living that vision.
Having a vision.
Yeah, but there's so many facets of life, and I feel like that phrase that stuck out to me when Brandon Turner talked about it, that whole person millionaire, was just not being outwardly financially successful, but being successful in all realms of your life.
Right, a balanced whole person that is also financially successful.
Right, and I think that's what we're striving for here at FV087, and I hope as you as listeners are also striving for that balanced, successful life. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, let's get to the show.
You're listening to the FV087 podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
So, with that, I do want to announce that we recently did officially become millionaires. Right, Sunmarie?
Mm-hmm.
We did. I think it happened a long time ago, but, it's when people think, oh, you're a millionaire, you have $1 million sitting in your bank. That's not how it is. We have like maybe $15,000 sitting in our bank accounts. Everything, a lot of it's tied up in equity in our properties, in our retirement accounts, things like that. And so, like I say, we probably became it a long time ago because for your equity in your house, there's appraised value, there's what you could sell it for, there's what you think it's worth, and you subtract that from your mortgage to get the equity, you know. So you might think, oh, I could sell my house for $1 million, but the bank's like, no, it's only appraising at $600,000. And so that's why it gets confusing. And we were going off the appraised value of what it appraised for. And some of the appraisals are a couple years old, and the market's been crazy. And that's why I say we probably hit it a while ago. But yeah, kind of an awesome thing to say. We are now millionaires, which is something I never really thought would happen, since we kind of grew up from a poorer background, and that was just kind of like some other person's dream, right? Like we people like us don't get there. But anyway, yeah, definitely a cool thing, and I don't think it's changed us much. You know, we're still going to garage sales, still dumpster diving, and man, Valen, I think, has like really, he just pesters us. Is it garbage day today? We gotta go looking. Anyway, so that's still happening, but that's not the point of today's talk. I feel like on our journey, you know, we've tried to, you know, keep up all aspects of our life. You know, health and fitness is big for me. You know, we've been doing, I did a mile swim 2 weekends ago, and swim and run, practicing for a triathlon, and got the kids doing triathlons.
We have a triathlon coming up
September 25th, Harriman State Park. Looking forward to that. That'll be my first triathlon. The kids have done 3. I haven't done 1 yet. But yeah, just health and fitness is big for me, because I know, you know, it adds so much
quality to your life.
Quality to my life. Just being able to do things that I want to do. You know, I went on a micro adventure on Thursday, and I was doing flips off a 12-foot high cliff, and I knew if I was fat and old, I wouldn't be able to do that. So anyway, that's not a great example, but you know, I want to be able to run with my kids. And we went on a biking journey this afternoon with our kids, and just keeping active, and you know, I want to be able to keep up with my kids and do cool, awesome adventures with them, like our 100-mile bike journey.
Right. I mean, if you don't have your health, what do you have? Because ultimately, everything you do in life is dependent upon you feeling good and feeling able to do that thing. And if that's taken away from you, or if you neglect your own personal health and therefore lose those abilities, you know, it really hampers the ability to pursue the things that you really want to pursue and what your dreams might be.
Right. And so that's health and fitness, and I think that's a huge one for me. And I think for a lot of people too, it's a huge thing that they just don't dedicate or prioritize. And it causes a lot of ill feelings, a lot of
insecurities.
Loathing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's something I prioritize. You know, I make it a priority to run at least twice a week. It's not always running. You know, I'm throwing in swimming and biking. On Tuesday I went for a swim bike run in the morning. It took 1 hour, and I did all 3. I was kind of happy with that, proud of myself. Yeah. And intellectual is another big one. And intellectual, I think the biggest thing I really do is reading. And it's a lot of listening to books, and I kind of pair that with my health and fitness, because when I'm running, I'm listening to a book, so I'm kind of developing that intellectual side of my life. And
multitasking.
Multitasking. Or when we're on a road trip, like Sunri and I have a book right now. It's The Pillars of Earth. Sam Uyama recommended that to us. And we're reading that together. So whenever we're together in the car, we'll listen to that. If I'm driving by myself, then I'll listen to my own audiobooks. And we even have a bedside book we're reading, actually from one of our podcast guests who did the biking journey from Argentina, or from Alaska to Argentina.
Yeah, it's
17,000 miles.
Changing Gears.
Gears.
Very cool story about their journey.
Yeah, so we're reading that right now on our bedside. So a lot of different readings going on.
I mean, I think keeping your mind sharp is so important. You know, they say as you get older in life, you know, the less you use certain parts of your brain, the synapses get disconnected, if we want to get technical there. And just like keeping your brain alert and sharp and thinking and visualizing, you know, it's healthy. Your brain's a muscle too. Right. So you got to keep it occupied with stimulating things that are helping you grow in your knowledge.
Right, and books are such a great way to introduce new novel ideas into your life. Things that you would have never even known to think about can be introduced through books, and it has time and time again. Books, podcasts, just educational media.
Yeah, so I think one key takeaway we've come to decide is important throughout these years is just the importance of maintaining balance throughout your life, in all aspects. Not going, full force after one particular ambition at the cost of everything else. I think that's a mistake that a lot of ambitious people have made in the past and probably continue to make, where they get so excited and so caught up in a certain ambition that they just sort of let everything else fall by the wayside. Their family, their marriage relationships, their health, their emotional happiness, feeling fulfilled by living a balanced life, because they become workaholics or whatever they might do. I mean, a classic example for that was when I was going to college and I wanted so bad to be a 4.0 student. I felt like that was the most important thing and it was what I had to do, and I made it my sole purpose, and I got my 4.0 pretty much a 3.98. One A minus in there after 4 years. But
I still sense a lot of hurt there.
Couldn't give me a perfect straight A. Anyway, one thing I recollect on in the future, looking back, is just, there was so many probably very enriching experiences I missed out on because I was so focused wholeheartedly on the academics. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think that, my senior year was when I finally decided to live a little bit more, because I felt like I had the permission to do that. I'd, done all my other years and I put in the hard work. Senior year, I can try to loosen up a bit. So I signed myself up for intramural sports. I joined the tennis team.
Youth ministry.
I was in a youth ministry program. I was in an art club. I participated in extracurricular activities. I started seeing this guy. A lot of other aspects of my life that I started to invest into while simultaneously still keeping up my work ethic for my schoolwork. But what I noticed was that my grades did not drop by putting energy towards these other areas of my life. In fact, I was well able to maintain them through senior year just as well as I had done previously when I just single-mindedly focused on my academics. But I found that I was a much happier person. I felt fulfilled. I didn't resent the fact that I had to do hours and hours of studying and miss out on all the fun things my friends invited me out to do, because I was in such a habit of saying no to everything because I was so single-mindedly focused, and it was like a lonely journey. And then senior year, I decided, no, I'm going to live a little bit more, but still stay responsible with academics. And it proved to be just as successful, but what it also showed me was that, I felt happier as a person. There was so much more going on for me. I was so much more of a whole person at that point, that I thrived. And I think it showed in my academics as well as in all other areas of my life. And I just really felt, I probably should have been doing that since day one. Finding that balance. When you have so many wonderful things going on in your life, it does cause you to need to be a lot more focused when you are dedicating your time to each particular area. So you find that you use your time more productively rather than, sitting around and writing a paper and letting it take 16 hours, where half those hours are just you dreading starting to write the paper, versus, I only have 3 hours to do this. I'm going to make the most of that time, and just really maximizing your full potential, and then moving on to the next area of your life that needs to be focused on.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good reflection of our lives currently. We really have very little downtime in our lives. I wouldn't say a lot of our entrepreneurial activities at this point take too much time out of our day, but they definitely do take some time. And I guess I did want to rehash a little bit like what we currently have going on in our lives entrepreneurially. we've discussed many times on this podcast, we have long-term rentals. We have about 11 units. We have 2 4-family properties and 1 3-family property, all in Bergen County, New Jersey. And a lot of them are long-term rentals with tenants who don't bother us too much. Maybe we're getting a call once every month at this point, maybe once every one and a half months, I would say. The latest being a drain clog on a 3rd-floor unit. That was just one simple call to a contractor to declog it. What was previous to that?
Roof leaks. Couple of those.
Yeah, a couple of roof leaks, things like that. Oh yeah, we've had a lot of bugs happen.
This spring brought so many bugs in New Jersey.
So another call to pest control to take care of that. But so that doesn't take too much time. It's pretty passive at this point. When we do have turnovers, which I'd say, almost all our tenants have been with us forever.
Yeah, we've had a turnover there about one every year and a half.
Maybe one every year and a half or so.
Yeah.
We usually do renovations to those units.
Then it becomes busy.
Yeah, then it becomes busy. And then we do long-term Airbnb. We have a long-term Airbnb, and that's like every 6 or 7 months. That has to be cleaned out. We are trying to offload that to a cleaner. But it didn't work out this last time so well, so we had to step in and pull an all-nighter kind of to get that ready.
Yeah.
That was 2 weeks ago, I think. That wasn't too fun.
Right, and then we have a short-term Airbnb.
Which that is offloaded to a very, very good person who's managing that for us.
Yeah, and that was probably the singular most demanding aspect of our portfolio. It brought in a lot, but it also demanded a lot of us to just maintain the upkeep of it. So outsourcing that was a very smart decision in terms of time management for us.
A very happy $70 per cleaning I'm happy to give.
Yes.
And then the only other thing that's kind of bringing in money is Turo. So I rent out our 3rd car on Turo. It's a Toyota Yaris with roll-up windows. It's been rented for the last 2 months, I think, bringing in about $35 a day. So that's pretty sweet.
We phased out of our Amazon business because it was proving to be...
It wasn't worth it. The profit margins were cut low because we had competition coming in selling the same pacifier.
And the amount of time we had to put into labeling and so forth. It's a great venture, but it was one additional task we didn't feel we needed to keep up with everything else we had going on.
Right. And other than that, I've continued to blog. I've continued to make YouTube videos. And, I have Amazon affiliate links that probably bring in about $80 a month on the blog and YouTube videos and things. And I do have ads on my YouTube videos, and that's bringing in about $2 a day. So that's pretty much everything entrepreneurial. So all income-wise, other than my W-2 job, which I'm still working, that's the income coming in. But I think we've really designed our lives to be pretty passive so that, we didn't have to focus on, these money-making endeavors, but we could focus on other aspects of our lives, Yeah, and we did that all in like the past in about a 5-year time span. We bought that first product in 2015, and that's when we started rolling out a lot of these entrepreneurial endeavors. And, we know a lot of other entrepreneurs who have done that, in like a year. They've, really been aggressive with that. Or they've gone, they've done that, but they've also done like flipping. And I feel like we definitely could have done it. We had the skills, we had the knowledge. We could have been a lot more aggressive in what we were trying to get to or to making more money. But I don't know, we both kind of felt, there was more of our lives we wanted to live. We had a certain goal that we wanted to reach. And we decided, we don't want this real estate empire. We'd rather have a lot more time freedom. And we knew there was a delicate balancing act of like how many entrepreneurial pursuits we wanted to tackle and how much freedom that would leave us. Right. So we've been pretty content with what we've tackled and what we've done in the last 5 years. And I feel like recently it's really been, we're kind of at a place where we're really enjoying the fruits of all our labor over the last 5 years. As many of you listeners know, we just bought our first single family house. And it's a beautiful property, and it's actually our cheapest property that we've bought. We could have easily bought it as our first property back in 2015, but instead, we bought that grungy 4-family that was a cash cow. But, now we have this single-family property, kind comes with a pool. It's a 4-bedroom. It has a creek running behind it. It has a lake that it backs up to. And it's a really nice property on a cul-de-sac. And at this stage in our lives, we are so grateful for it. You know, we have 3 kids that can run around the property, enjoy. This past week, Summer was traumatized because a snake came and ate this humongous toad. We're like, how does this huge toad fit in this tiny snake's body? Which
he decided to have his lunch on our front porch. Just like, you could have done that somewhere else.
And we have deer running around in the backyard all the time, fish in the lake, and millipedes everywhere. A
lot of nature, a lot of
nature.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, our lifestyle and our home is such a blessing, and we are truly thankful, you know, to have been blessed by this good fortune in our life, you know. But I think that sometimes rushing into a dream like that can turn not into a fortune but a burden,
right,
if it's not done smartly, you know. And if we had bought this 5 years ago, when we could have, our life would look very different.
We could have afforded it, but you'd probably be working.
I'd be working full time. You know, you'd be working full time. There'd be a
lot more financial stress on our minds.
Right, because of the you know, working to pay off the mortgage.
Right. And it wouldn't have been that important at that point. You know, our infant wouldn't have enjoyed the property. He wouldn't be kayaking with us. You know, now we can just be like, oh, you know, it's lunchtime. Let's go out in the water and go kayak. You know, the kids each have a kayak each. And, yeah, it's really such a blessing. We go biking all the time. There's excellent trails right around. There's a mountain biking trail. So I'm excited to start getting the kids mountain biking. But, yeah, I feel like at this stage in our lives, perfect.
It was the right time and the right move. And it just feels right all around that we made that choice. And, you know, looking back, we could have gotten here a lot sooner. We could have been more ambitious with our real estate investment endeavors. We could have bought multiple properties at the same time and worked on them simultaneously, or we could have bought one right after the other. We spaced it out a little bit longer just because we realized the amount of work and investment that goes into every single purchase you make is very demanding on your time. You know, each one of the properties we bought has required a lot of time, especially in the first half a year where you're really trying to ramp up, repair the property, situate good tenants, and just really make it a desirable place to live. There's a lot of time and mental strain as well as physical investment that goes into that. And we realized going 100% into this will detract from our family life, which we're also simultaneously trying to build over these past 5 years. Our first property we bought when we had our first son, and he was 6 months old at the time. So, you know, it probably would have been a different situation if we didn't have any kids in the picture at the time. We could have spent a lot of our free time doing, you know, real estate stuff. But being that we had a child, you know, priorities change.
I feel like that's really what kind of helped us keep a balanced approach to this.
Otherwise, we may have gone a lot more aggressively into it.
I think we would have. It would have been a life of imbalance, which we would have been okay with, but I feel like that would have stayed with us.
Yeah.
And it would have made us a lot more aggressive. And I honestly love our journey, love, you know, what it's taken to get here, and you know, we're here, but we're growing still. We're still getting after it. And I
think the beauty of it is that we've been doing it together as a family.
Right.
Both you and I together doing these projects, as well as our kids right by our sides from day one. You know, they've learned this lifestyle from us through observing what we do. We take them with us. They're not shipped off to some babysitter every time we need to go do a call at one of the houses. They were right there with us, doing it with us.
When we just did that overnighter cleaning Airbnb, it was like the first time the kids watched TV in weeks. But we just popped that on for them, and they were just glued to it because they had been deprived. And they
were helping to pick.
Stop vacuuming! I'm trying to listen.
Their job was to pick pet fur off the couch because our previous tenant had a long-haired dog,
a mountain dog or something.
the hair was stuck in the sofa.
Why
So
aren't you picking
we're
while
like,
you're watching?
You can watch TV, but you have to be productive too. So that means picking the hairs off the sofa.
They did have a lint roller. We gave them a lint roller, so it wasn't that inhumane.
Yeah, they had fun with it. Gave them a purpose.
It did, and actually it turned. It
They did a
helped.
good job.
It helped a lot because it looked
I'm glad I
terrible
wasn't
before.
sitting there having to do that. It's a couple hours we didn't have to do.
Right.
We outsourced to our children.
But I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get at with this whole person millionaire. You know, it's not the sacrifice of our marital relationship. You know, I think if we went faster, it could have, you know, caused a lot of aggravation there. But instead, you know, we went at a pace that, you know, we could both keep up with, that we were both comfortable with. I remember when I was first starting this podcast, actually first starting the blog, even before the podcast existed, I was putting in a lot of hours. And at one point, you know, somebody kind of sat me down and was like, you know, I don't know what you said, but it was something to the effect of, you're spending way too much time on this. You gotta dial it back, because I was like getting up at like 4 a.m. and staying up late doing it, and I was like into it. Like I was, you know, I can really get into a project and just put all my hours into it. But somebody was like, you know, you gotta kind of make a decision here between, you know, working on this or us as a family. And I took that to heart. Wouldn't you say I took that to heart? Like I dialed that back. And I think I would have been probably a lot more successful with the blog and podcast at this point if I had, you know, kept up that 200% intensity with it. But I'm glad somebody dialed me back. I'm glad I could refocus on what's important. Because yeah, it's a great project. I love what we do with the podcast, but I don't want it to be at the detriment of our family.
Yeah, and I think constantly checking in with your family that what you're doing is working is so important, you know, because if you start to pull at those fine threads, you know, resentment might come in, hurt feelings, feeling unprioritized in someone's life, and that's never healthy on a relationship, you know. And most of these projects, I think when people start them out, they don't start them out because they want them to become their sole priority in life. They just kind of overtake people.
Right.
And if you can't keep that in check,
right,
you might end up losing the whole reason why you set out to do it in the first place.
And it's so easy to get sucked in, I think, especially once you have like you taste the success. You're like, oh, this could be so good, this could be awesome, and I only have to do it for a year, or I only have to do it for another week. Give me another hour, give me another 2 hours, and it's a week, and then it becomes a month, and then it becomes years, and
yeah, I'm just gonna work that 80-hour work week for 1 year, and it's for the family.
Right.
But is it really though? I mean, money isn't everything, and making sure your relationships stay healthy is paramount to anything else you do in life. Yeah. Because, you know, if that unravels, where are you left at that point? Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to go into today.
Yeah, I guess the whole point of this message we're trying to give is, you know, pursue your dreams, figure out what they are, create that vision, make sure you're united in it with those who are important in your life. If you're married, and if you have a family, make sure it's something that really fits into your lifestyle and that it's a shared vision, and that you're both on board with it, because then you can, you know, support each other on that journey rather than kind of stand by and resent the fact that your significant other is, you know, so preoccupied with this other endeavor.
Right. And I think really take a hard look and find out, what does success actually mean to you? Right. You know, there's so many other people's definition of success out there, like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. But do you really want to be a millionaire? Is that real? Like, what is that, having that net worth, going to do for you? Is it
just money in the bank and an empty lifestyle? Or is it something that's going to actually enrich the lifestyle that you truly want? What is it? Define that for yourself. You know, that when we did Lifebook, that was a beautiful thing about it. It really helps people hone in on what's important to them. And there's other programs like it too. Creating the life vision and making sure it aligns with your partner and your family, and then pursuing that and not getting too carried away. And I think that's key, because as much as we love real estate, and we really do love it, we love the game of finding a property and pursuing it and getting it under contract and negotiating. We love renovating and visualizing an ugly place into a beautiful place. You know, there's a lot of fulfillment in that. And I think you can get carried away with it, you know, especially if you go to real estate meetups and you're listening to podcasts and you're really inspired. You know, at one point I'm like, why don't we think about syndicating? Why don't we buy a 10-plex, you know, or try some other big ambitious goal? They're doing it and they're doing it and they're doing it, you know, why
And
don't
I'm
we
sure
pick
we
up a
could.
few flips?
You know, so many people there's been so many opportunities over the last couple of years, you know, where these things have been thrown out lap. So many people come to us like, hey, you know, why don't you buy, I want to fund your deals and I want to partner with you. And we could have done all that, but it wouldn't have fit our lifestyle. You know, it would have put us off the balance.
Right. And
it wasn't
we
worth
would have
it.
gotten into that pattern of, I'm just going to take 1 year
Right.
wholeheartedly focusing on this area and let the other areas in my life go on the back burner for just a little while. But that's a dangerous road to go down, you know, and just being able to say no, as fun as that sounds, it doesn't really fit into the vision I'm trying to create here, into our whole person, whole family lifestyle, and therefore I'm going to say no to that at this time in my life. Maybe if it comes up in the future and it fits in there a little bit better than right now, I'll reconsider it. But for right now, we're just going to do what works for us. And I think that is the number one thing you can do, and it creates happiness as well as success. You know, to be able to feel you are successful, but also truly happy with your emotional, spiritual, family, love relationships in your life, that everything seems in balance. That's the key. That's what you're going for. And that's basically what we want to leave you with here is, you know, have a vision, pursue your dreams, go for it. You can achieve success. You will achieve success.
Your
If that's your
definition
goal.
of success.
Whatever your definition is, if you've defined it and you're pursuing it, you will achieve it. Just be mindful that you're not achieving it at the expense of other things that you value. Make sure you know what's important and you put equal energy all around.
And with that, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you got something out of it, and we hope you put that to action. You know, really start thinking about what success means to you and how you're going to get there, and what areas you might be, you know, weak on, that you might be sacrificing at this point in your life that you're not okay sacrificing, that you need to start, you know, prioritizing. And yeah, with that, we wish you the best of luck. Godspeed, everyone.